Hi there and welcome to Mr. Stewart's History Revision Guide. Today we are looking at Paper 1 question 3. This question is explain one change or explain one similarity between something. It is worth 4 marks. This video will explain how you need to structure your answer. It will give you a model 4-mark answer. It will talk the step-by-step process of how I went and achieve that 4-mark answer, and then there will be some practice questions to try yourself at the end. Okay, this is the example question that I'm going to use today. It is explain one way infantry weapons changed in the Middle Ages. 4 marks. General rule of thumb is you multiply the marks by 1.5. That's how long you should spend on it. 6 minutes maximum. I think 6 minutes is a good amount of time, maybe 5, depends how quick you write. And then also, how much should I write? Well, look at the marks, times that by 2, and then that's how many lines minimum you should be writing. So 8 lines minimum really for this question. Now, you can see the question at the top there. I've highlighted the bits in purple as the key areas that I want to sort of talk about. Now, if a question starts with the word explain, that is a big clue. That is telling you you can use PEE paragraphs. Not only can you use them, but you should use them. They are the best way to make sure you are explaining in your answer, and this is an explain question. The question stem, i.e. the first part of the question, also says one way. So it tells you you only need to write one PEE paragraph. They're giving you these clues. Also, the fact it's worth 4 marks, you should know 4-mark questions equals 1 paragraph, 8-mark questions equals 2 paragraphs, 12-mark questions equals 3 paragraphs. You should know that, and so therefore, because it's 4 marks, you should only be writing 1 PEE paragraph. In this question, you do need to provide factual information of how infantry weapons were different at the beginning of the time period, so the beginning of the Middle Ages in this question, to the end of the time period. You must make sure you only mention or give examples from the Middle Ages. It's obvious, you say that, well, of course I'm going to do that, but so often people don't do that and they start mentioning things that didn't happen in the time period. If you mention anything that doesn't happen in the time period, you will get 0 marks for that. And it's a waste of time. Here is my model answer. So you can see it's about 10 lines or so long. I'm not really going to talk through it. You can maybe pause it and read through it if you wish. On the next slide, I'm going to show you how it's sort of broken down into bits. So here is, you can see I've shown you where you get your marks. You have the point at the top. That will give you 1 mark. This is a bit different to most PE paragraphs because the evidence is the important bit. You get 1 mark for providing evidence from the beginning of the time period. You get a 2nd mark for providing evidence from the end of the time period, and then you get a mark for explaining what the change was. Again, if you wish, you can pause it now and you can have a little read through this, but I'm not going to sort of read it through for you at the moment because we're going to go through step by step later on. So I've shown you a 4-mark answer, what it looks like, and I'm then now going to go through each bit by bit, how I answered that. But not only that, I'm going to explain how I used the sort of revision resources that I use, which is flashcards. Some of you may use mind maps or tables or whatever. I use flashcards. I'm going to show you how I use my flashcard to get to the point where I could answer this question. So here's my flashcard. This is all the information I have for weapons in the Middle Ages. Again, maybe pause it, have a little read through. I'm going to highlight the key bits that are relevant for the question we're answering on the next slide. So as you can see, not all of the flashcard I need to remember. I've just sort of selected a bit about how weapons changed and a couple of battles and case studies and things like that. That's important. So this is the information that I'm using from my revision resource to answer my question. So the first part of my answer is the point. On my flashcard there were 2 changes to infantry weapons. One was from swords and spears and other hand-to-hand weapons to longbows, and the other one was from swords and spears to maces and warhammers. Now I chose the first one. I could have also spoken about the second one, but I didn't. I only need to make 1 point. Remember, you only need 1 paragraph. So I only wanted to speak about how weapons change from swords and spears to longbows. Your point, okay, should just be 1 sentence and just describe in general what the change was. So I wrote, one way infantry weapons changed in the Middle Ages. I used the question as my sentence starter there, was from hand-to-hand weapons to ranged weapons. Very simple, very straightforward, 1 sentence. Your evidence, which is the next part, should be supported. Try whenever you can to support it by a battle or case study, or support it with evidence that way. But battles and case studies in this warfare topic, that's the best way of doing it. You must include, must include information from the beginning of the time period and the end, therefore showing change or similarity. So my answer I wrote, at the beginning of the Middle Ages, infantry soldiers used weapons such as swords and spears. This is shown at the Battle of Falkirk, 1298. That's me using a battle to support my answer there, between the Scottish and English, where the Scottish infantry used very long spears and schildrons. By the end of the Middle Ages, the majority of infantry soldiers were now equipped with longbows. For example, at the Battle of Agincourt, 1415, Henry V defeats the French with the aid of 8,000 longbowmen. Now you can see there's lots of specific evidence in there. There's statistics with the 8,000 longbowmen, there's events for the 2 different battles, there's names with Henry V, lots and lots of specific detail in that model answer there. The final bit, the explanation, again this question is a bit of a weird one because normally in PE paragraphs your explanation should be about half of your paragraph. However, this question is a bit different. The focus is much more on the evidence. So here your explanation just needs to summarize the one way that infantry weapons changed. This answer I wrote, there was clearly a huge change in the weapons used during the Middle Ages, as infantry soldiers now used the mass firepower of the longbow to defeat their enemies rather than attack their enemies up close. So that's supporting the point I made at the beginning of the paragraph and just explaining one way infantry weapons changed. Okay, I hope that has been useful. I hope that that's cleared some things up, or you know exactly what you need to be doing now and how you go about doing that. Here are some practice questions that you can try. Please go back through the video, pausing at different places to work out exactly what you need to do, and remember you should write about 8 lines minimum and spend 6 minutes maximum on this question. Thank you very much.